Okay, so I have only so much time because things are getting real hard. Okay, jail, people think I'm crazy, all of this stuff. I just explained how all these people have done witchcraft to feed demon king devil whatever because he actually is in prophecy and Jesus dying on the cross. I was like, why did he die? And that's what opened up everything because as I wanted to be the lawyer for him and do all the work, I found out so much more and it came rapidly. So it kind of gets a little bit sad, but I want to explain it to you. Date of birth 0303 1989 999. You take one away, and then it's because it's one right there like that, 10, because it was birthday in 1989. So we take away 10, that 8 instead of instead of it being a 9, it's backwards. So you got that 9, and then when you take that off, it's you put it on the backside because it's backwards. So 1989, and then right there 0303, that was up part. And then brand, let's see. Name, Falls, Mischief, Solar Dragon, Black Dragon. That's the basically part of having the eclipse, red and black. And then you have the lunar. So then that's the kind of trippy part. And then it's a Pepsi, which if you don't know, it's the purge, you know? So when you have that right there, it's the countdown time, like 3, 2, 1, or 1, 2, 3, however. When you have them all that, you have one split into halves. So one half. And so with those halves, it's like one turns into two, and two, it looks like it's still three, but that one's not there no more. Uh, Planet X that circles around it ends up feeding off of these two, making them fight negative and positive, or purpose and mission. And then it's like feed on both, after you already got them fighting. So right here, it ends up being the purge of Mortal Kombat, where it's two sides, a negative side, a positive side, and so with the red and black, you end up having like the issue of everything getting mixed up, V equals J as in BCA, JCA, it's Jesus Christ, Antichrist, Victoria Chuska as Sokard. Uh, I asked, please don't let your king down when I was crying earlier, because the thing is, we've been going through some stuff where I've been fighting my world, and it's not okay. And so this was a little thing I wrote earlier. I wish I left some room, but I am not under hypnosis, but many are. Meaning, I've been fighting with people for so long, and we had witches, we had a lot of demons, we had the telekinesis and telepathic, where everyone's thinking I'm crazy, but it's actually from Satan. And I'll tell you where Satan was in the universe, and it sounds crazy at first, but writing this down, I beat him yesterday. I took him out, and it's like, no, you didn't, and it's so messed up. So let's get into it. When Satan started messing with my brain, he started making sure that I was coming out super loud, like everyone was thinking that this guy's sick. He's talking about porn. He's sick. He's talking out loud. I'm thinking in my head, and sometimes I'm not thinking. But when I'm out places and I'm not opening my mouth and I'm not thinking, I had people freak out on me. So I went from, he must be the Messiah. He must be, as far as they used to try to say, Jesus Christ. And then, and I didn't even realize now I'm thinking about it, the Christ part. I was not accepting it then, and I still don't. But that's what's trippy about it. So the three halves, I'll get into that. Who is the resurrected, and it's Jesus. But before he was resurrected, he had an E equals MC square type of thingy that's parallel to the one that becomes two, but on the cross. So one good, one bad. And this is what's messed up about it, because this is what's happening to me. I am the king who killed Satan or Planet X yesterday. And you're like, what the heck does that mean? Because everyone's thinking Planet X and all of that science, and they don't mix. But that's why everyone has been under so long. The heresy and witchcraft, it freaked me out at places. So when you look at Satan and you look at his skills, his name is deception, king of deception. Well, lying and putting people under sleep, hypnos. So you hypnos, Planet X. Do you notice how there's a X, but it's not really, because it's a Y, but then there's a P and it's right next to it. So then you have a P and an X and a circle. When you put that together, and he's messing with my mind and he's scattering it around everybody, like literally people will be hundreds of thousands of streets, like far around the world, and they're freaking out like this guy's weird. What do you think about it? SOS. This is one of my clues when I was looking into all this research. Son of Sam. When I put it into the initials, I said this is a universal cry for help from the universe, meaning the children. I didn't know the universe then. But SOS, Summer of Sam. I was investigating all kinds of crimes and all that real fast. Man killed because of dog. You know what I mean? The dog that was supposedly crazy and all that. So what I want to show you on this video is Satan being Planet X, BC as in because, and AD as far as that. And then this is something as far as 248. Like I was explaining, it's supposed to be 0, 2, 4, and then 8 as far as having your dimensions. 0 dimension, which was nothing. 2 dimension, it was flat, and that's when the Earth was flat. 4 dimension, when it's actually circular, but seeing all pinpoints and being inside as far as like being close. And people won't agree on this, but me being a ship changer, a element bender, and all these other things as far as I'll just say chief and wizard / shaman. So as I get into this, king, shaman, wizard, that's me. And this is the Planet X as far as it being example on Doctor Strange. Now I know that sounds lame, but let me get further. When you say my social, and I know I shouldn't be giving it, but I don't care no more because I know that I'm made after people finally get it and they break free of these spells that have held them under. Being depressed and all that, it comes from low base. Low base, I'll get into that, but being under, it's constant 24/7. So 6th chapter, 24, 2004 or 24, 2301. That is my birth date and all that. So either you could put 1 plus 2 is 2, and then like the 3, that's 24, but then you have to put a line, or you could put 2 plus 1, that's 24, but then these 2 is 2, so then you got 2 and then 0, just like 999 or 911. You know how it's like 1 showing the number and then 2 more of that same number, but it just puts a 1. So you got to understand that type of stuff, that the Sumerians and all of them and the Masons had some crazy stuff, but I just hit it right off. Like I feel it, Wizard Harry, then grown up Doctor Strange. So I put that right there. Okay, we're getting past that now. When I put this right here, this is the very important stuff, and I have to hurry up with this video because I don't want you guys to lose trait. The purge, 1/2 becomes Earth, and then it redoes its thing. The other side, Hitria, and the hertz level for frequency of Earth is 963. Backwards is 369. So that's another example as far as what I was just speaking about. When you get up here, one turns to 0.5 and 0.5, so that's 1/2 and another half. That's where you have that part of the one planet turns into 2, a negative, positive. Then this Planet X messes with them and feeds off both of them as after he gets them in the fight. This is my solar half and the solar dragon, and this one is the black flames. I'm not the black dragon, but I did take the black flames, like meaning this part of the purge and them fighting. I didn't let this evil Satan take the black flames as far as getting them, because it's a powerful power. And what is the black flames? Dark matter energy. So I am now living with dark matter energy, as well as being the solar system, or solar red energy, red solar energy. So, originally I'm red solar energy. Let me get to this one. So base, low, as we said, the 369. Then you have the Zodiac Killer. Now, what's up about that? I noticed right away. It's a star, that cross, when it has a little circle. And then it's like ring a star. I said it right there. So when you ring a star, it's Ringo Star. That's a code with all of these rich Masons. That's why I always told people, you made the low base, so you get like not noticing, you're under hypnosis all the time, and you're trying to ring a star, so you got everybody falling apart. Why we're under witchcraft and no one stands up for everyone is because Zodiac Killer, who was the Beatles drummer was so smart, and he doesn't age much, so you know that he's dragon. A demon clan. Ring a star, and then there's the Egyptian part. So I'll show you right here in a minute all the people. But the VA, as far as in Victorio Asokar, then you have the V, which is up down Sumerian, not for let's see, and then there's 3-6 right there, but like they all come together. Okay, so stay with me. The Egyptians, Sumerians, Roman Greek, Catholic, Christian, and then Aramaic and Hebrew. Now that's crazy, right? This 3-6 thing, as far as like going like that wasn't the 3-6. That was something on this page, as far as like showing a dude that kept trying to do the thing on the waist, and I was like, "You're lame," because he kept doing this to me. So I was being his friend. For a dude that played pranks, so I kept this, but you know, he's like a kid being 25. You know, like I'm 35, so he was at the place after I got arrested, which shows all this stuff that I was so on that they had to try to stop me, because there's a lot of witches, or there was, and a lot of demons as far as people looking like people. Well, I'm with the solar sun system purpose, and the other one is mission. So right here you will have the black hole right behind the sun, and that's what I took out. Even though you're like, you're not a wizard, or what the heck are you talking about? Well, it's crazy magic as far as old school days. So when I got that out, and I was telling people, it reminds me of Earth getting sucked into a black hole. So that was one of the mouths, while Planet X was far away. And it really was like that, because you notice sometimes when you look at something like the sun or the moon, it kind of looks like it's astral projected, like someone is using a projector. But no, it's just that's how the spirits are at that up low 3D thing as it got sunken lower. So let me explain that about the 3 levels. When you look at the Egyptians and the Sumerians, it like everything we did when they had the Sumerians, it was 4D, because they're able to shapeshift and get bigger and all that stuff. That's what I'm able to do now. But it should have been 4th dimension, in which we're able to start teaching everyone. We're stuck in the 3rd dimension, which it's okay. I already fixed that. Hebrew and them, Catholics, right? And then so you have 4D, it's a deity, and Satan. That was Satan right there in Sumerians, as far as going to fix stuff and change it real quick. You know, he's a deceiver. He deception, king of deception. So I was telling people, even though they don't like this part, sadly this was what I had to do. Anunnaki left this, and when I turned it sideways, it was like this. And I'm not going to explain it out loud, because I don't like people in my business, even though everyone knows. And these people around here in Santee have been like scared of me, thinking I'm crazy. But I'm finished with this stuff as far as my research and showing why it's so valuable to me. My life, this is my life right here. The formula of the Nazi what did I write the other part of the soldiers? You know, that stuff that made them go crazy. Well, that stuff speeds you up to think, to all that, if you know how to use it. I sadly did that a long time ago, because I was like, my sisters ran away, they did a whole bunch of stuff. I said, I'm gonna try it and see what made them go crazy. You know, it was my experiment as far as caring and really being into that. So first we had the flower of life, or solar system, and it had a middle solar sun, which was big. Then later it switched. After this solar sun, it's black circle, and it's in the middle. So the black circle was hiding behind the solar sun, and it was sucking up the world and all the little solar suns. Even though people were like, "You're crazy," I'm like, "Okay, it's cool. I accept that." But when you look at okay, so when you look at this right here, it's let's see. There's too many aliens on all 7 continents, but we're on America, so I just got done with this. But look, this type of cube is cheap, because this one is the one that is nanobite. And nanobite, they've already done this type of thing, the synthetic, like cross that was on the amino acids, Trefnor, so I forgot what it's called, but it's for the bloodline. This is the type of uh, cube that you're supposed to do with the triangles in them. Way bigger. It's a way bigger cube. But that right there was probably a little too much as far as like, what are you talking about? So we'll get to that in a moment. Let me see what else I need to overlook on the papers. Because I could show you. This stuff is so important to me. So important. I'm going to explain to you why Christ was the word that a thief used, because he's a deceiver. If Jesus is king and he was taking out demons and, healing the sick, and he was going everywhere, he was doing it. Out of nowhere, he started having issues, real bad issues, and he was freaking out, and he was standing in the moon, asking for help, not knowing how to do it, while Satan was over there bugging him in the forest at night. It was 1 o'clock, whatever. That type of stuff he's been doing to me, and even though you're like, I don't buy it, let me show you. When you have BC, that means backwards. So when you have one planet turn into two planets, that you would thought it was manifestation. But when they do that, they're supposed to turn into two whole planets. So when they did that, it was two halves. And they split. Then they became two whole planets. You have one planet that was going backwards, and you have another planet that was going forwards. BC, AD. So when you have that, you end up having the black circle, black universe, or you have the AD, which is amino domino. Like, it's going to end up dying. It's going to end up getting sucked up and all that. And it's like, nah, I can't let that happen. So with my science, I pretty much put together Ra, when he died, he is Jesus' father. And everyone's like, no, he's not. But the thing is, in spirit, as far as picking your children and being like 4,000 years later, 140,000 years later, or 40,000 years later, you know what I mean? It depends on how long ago was it that people lived and how we got down to shorter, because we really lost a lot of energy. Spiritual energy is spiritual magic as well. So what I want to say is, when they wrapped him up and all, they try to make him into a deity as far as preserving his body, but that's not what you're supposed to do. And they took out his pineal glands. By taking out his pineal glands, they were able to learn so much, because their science was actually so sophisticated. They had the water under, they had the electricity, they had so many tools that made their hieroglyphics and everything perfect. So that being the first part of father, and as far as in vessel, and where did we come from, and this and that. Well, that was so long ago. Then later on, it shoot back. You know how we had Egypt, and later on it was Rome and Greek, and like they had BC, and it was at the end, and then you had the 33 years, and then the AD, and then by 350 or whatever, the Egyptians, they disappeared, the ruins. Well, with that being said, Jesus later on was doing good. He was healthy. But he ended up having issues where people were thinking he was yelling out stuff. He would go places, and he's not really doing it. That's because by working on the pineal glands and figuring it out, they're able to tune everything as far as being like a low bass to interfere and have everything super loud jacked up. Because a low bass, you got to higher your volume all the way. With a high bass, you got to lower it when you're speaking, and everyone's like, shh. So with doing that and learning that about the human body, the vessel, the avatar, the fact that it's kind of like a genetic tissue, biological or tissue, and yeah, organic tissue. I apologize. Well, the part is that he started getting messed with by Satan. He kept following him into the forest and all that, and he was crying like, please, this and that. They ended up crucifying him. And, they didn't believe that he was the Son of God. When he gets done with it, he had the ability to just be like, my task is done, and all that crazy stuff. And the 3 days passed. So with it being from 2D when he was out, to becoming 3D, it should have never been three-dimensional, because the way that dimensions works is 0 dimension to 2 dimension, 4 dimension, then 4 dimensions, 8 dimension, and 8 dimension, 16 dimension. So we're going to be able to show you how you go from, you know, in the egg, or the mother's womb, which is an egg, to zero, and then you get born, and then like you're you're looking at the center, the I forgot what it's called, the thingy about the graph. You're at 2D, and then from there you get out. You're supposed to be like born. It's supposed to be 4D. But why did we switch it to 3D? I'll tell you why. Because 3D means 3 dimension, and it makes it look like there's always going to be three as far as moving up to become six. So instead of it being 2 dimensional and then 4 dimensional, it ended up losing one. By losing one, you're able to switch that one out and then eat both of them later. So that's weird, because when you look at stars, you'll see the 3D, and that's what's weird about it. Us from far, we have the same picture as three stars, and that's how we have our vision, 3 dimensional. But our dimensions visual is supposed to be 40/40, not 20/20. But why is it not 30/30? Because the fact is, that's a number that you can't put when you're actually supposed to have it in twos. You know what I mean? The fact that you're born, the fact that you'll always have something of a twin somewhere, you're always supposed to have twos. But this thing was trying to be the third, as far as being like a third twin, to sneak around and have a vessel made of dark energy, the dark cloud, dark matter. So dark matter is very strong energy. So is red matter, and they could both harmonize three-dimensional type of, a cup, microphone, different things. So with that being said, Satan, who was pretending to be Sumerians, was able to make a three-dimensional type of person. And when he came down many times as certain people. Like, for instance, the Hindu, the god that gave fire, that was Satan also, not just the Sumerians. He kept coming down on earth, and you were like, no, that can't be true. Well, the thing is, if you have three dots and one is gone because it was from both of them, then that's where this thing called Planet X, which I know people think I'm stupid with this, but this is cosmos, and this is God's, and this is universe, and this is heavens. So you can't mislead yourself from religion and say that's science, this is religion. No, they go hand in hand, and that's why we couldn't understand how to figure the prophecy. So with that being said, if you were to be Planet X like Pacman, and you ate both negative and positive, who were going to war because you were messing with their telepathic neurons, your transmitters and all that, and then also the pineal glands, which is like a tracker, you end up getting followed by something that is so far, so far in the space. We don't know where it's at because everything's all black, So with that being said, when the time is up, this Pac-Man, Planet X, is going to try to go eat mission and purpose, the ones that were used to be yin and yang as a one planet. As they became two circles, it became perfect to get dark matter and red matter. And that's very important as far as being very powerful. To be able to harness and mix them, that's kind of my trait as far as being able to teach mankind later how we could use it, or we could just, like I could give it to you and it's in your powers of magic, spiritual magic. And people are like, yeah, right, but that's the truth, because I've been doing too much, and I shouldn't have been fighting with everybody on Earth, but everyone on the Earth has literally have no time to really pay attention to things. This type of work, the prophecy, is so important that we were almost about to die again, and I already came back too many times as far as being an archangel, which I barely got to get last year. So it's really cool as far as being able to do some crazy things, like Matrix, really bend the laws of reality and everything else. And coming across that, I came to find out that Jesus being victorious and him having the same birthday as me, March 3rd, the Son is the Father is the Son. That's when you know that everyone had the same birthday, because it was based on the same exact principles as the symbols on the Sumerian text. So 0303, 3/3 trifecta. Then you see a little bit later on the other wall, a little down, it says 3 and the line. Well, three in that line. It doesn't mean 13, but it did end up being a big situation as far as why did we use it here, why we use it there, why are things so critical, why is there so much murder, why is there so much heresy, because they're not calling it heresy, but they're just calling it like terrible freaking death, like people were murderers. Well, with that being said, you have to look at the 999, which is 3, then you switch it and it was my birthday, and then you look at the 03031989. Then with my social, it was 624. It's chapter 6, and where it always ends. Then the 24, which is at the end of the year, it's 2024. Not really, but we'll get to that later. And then you look at the 2301. 23 take away, no, add 1, it's 24 plus 2 zeros. So then you have that switched, and how they do it with these symbols is you have the number of what the number is, then you have how many numbers of how many more. Because when you put the sticks, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the slice, that's 5. Well, this one is where you go 9, 9, 9. So instead, you go 9. How many more? One more, one more. So there's 3 nines. So if you learn how to do that, 2301 ends up being 2400, which actually means 2 and another number 0 being 1. But it's just not 1 for the number 1. It's 1 saying it's another, another particular. It's 2, then particular, another 1 because it's 0. It's a number 0. Then you have 24. So my birthday and my social security and my name, VCA, everything already matched out right there. But that's not to stop me right there. The parallel universe, as far as being so similar, was the fact that with him getting hurt on the cross, crying, I was feeling the pain. I was watching Passion of the Christ, and I cried a little bit, like tears coming out in the both, and you just feel it, like you're like, oh, like I know that feeling, like even though I never had it, but I really did. So not in this life, and that's what's trippy, because as I did my investigation, wanting to be an attorney, wanting to do science, wanting to discover and investigate this homicide that was heresy, I got to find out so much about all our earth and how everything has been constantly been for Satan. Satan has been around for so long. So what I want to say is, sorry, with Satan hiding in the sense of not hiding in a ball, but he's actually in a form where two became one, opposite side, like a twin universe. With him doing that, he's a dead dragon, which they grabbed the dragon from being a black dragon, and they grabbed it. Then they added him, which is a black angel, which is the opposite of an archangel. So with those two becoming one, they ended up wrapping into a ball with the black dragon's skin and really balling up. Now it's going to come back to life. As far as not having a circle of the dragon, like where he comes out like looking like the dragon that was balled up, but it ends up being a hard shell on the outside and inside gooey. So with that having so much time, it needs to feed. With the planet X, it's actually a Titan egg, as we call it. It ends up being able to eat planet 1 and 2, which is red and blue. Red solar sun's energy, dark nebula, dark energy, dark matter. With him having them go to a war mission and purpose, he ends up almost getting us to like kill each other. We did kill each other. There's so many times I died. I don't know how many times, 10,000 times, 10 million times. I mean, I was tired of this and I didn't even know. But I was always kind of a guy that was so tired, even though I worked hard. I always told myself, like, I work hard to get it all done so I could relax. Everyone else, they just somehow are able to pace and keep working and they don't mind. But I love where I could get something done in 3-4 hours. If I could get paid the same amount, I go home 4 hours early, something like that. But minimum wage, it wasn't like that. And as I came to know certain people, there's these names, which I can't tell you how many follow to one person or another person, or if there was another person. But these names that were meaning so much to me, I became a science on figuring out so much stuff as well as the other stuff. And her name was so important because some of the names was like Paige, Kendall, and then Heredia. Like those three names, even though you don't know the other names or I like to make sure you don't, know who I was talking about a long time ago, because no one's business until I'm able to, shout out to her or see her say thank you, and we go public, like at least being friends or not. You know what I mean? I was scared to talk to her because I haven't seen her forever, But with so much trouble of heresy and people judging me and why did they not like me and stuff, I found that not only was my dad a victim, and I don't mean to bring him up, but it's very important for this, and me a victim later on, but in different ways. He worked all day construction, had siblings. He had a father that was um, from the twin planet when they separate, and nobody really knew about that, but I'm able to tell that. When he's from a car club or a gang that ends up being Black Angel, that's actually a demon versus an angel as far as having them on our earth. And with that being said, I am descendant of a devil king as well as a god because it's an archangel. So with that being said, it is um, one being Satan, Black Angel, and two turning into that's uh, the demon and dragon as far as that being one. You get what I mean? And with that getting wrapped into one, the demon and the dragon, because of how it transforms, it goes one, two, three. It's not so much a one into two, it's a one, two, three. So with that being said, it's first him being Black Angel, going into the Black Dragon, and then becomes a demon. So the demon ends up being a baby in an egg. And then what the demon does, as far as it becoming an egg, because it was technically turning into the demon, as far as the egg, the Titan egg ends up needing to feed. So that's why it's called Planet X. It ends up being a symbolic Mason code as far as saying like Pacman, packet, like packet, man, And with it going around the earth and nobody knew about it and it was telepathic, freaking Black Angel Satan has been talking to everybody and getting them all under hypnosis and lying to them. He's supposedly the king, more like bitch of deception, but that's how I feel about him because he really put me through a lot of shit. He was going through my pineal glands, kind of working it to tune it to go to my transmitters and my responders and my messengers as far as my neo understanding, the neuro and the neuro plug. And I'd be doing nothing. And out of nowhere, he started doing it from far in space, and people just thought, like, you're tripping, blah, blah, blah. But he did the same thing to a man named, I can't remember his name, but his Summer Sam, back in 1960s, 70s. He was doing it through the dog. The man thought that he was crazy and that the dog was possessed. The poor man ended up going to go kill people because he couldn't handle the dog yelling at him. That man was going through something where me, I'm kind of opposite slow because he's probably from the twin universe when he's mission, and he went on a mission. Me, I'm purpose. I'm right here, just like, huh? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't notice it. You know what I mean? So you have that whole part of red energy and dark energy. And as he was on a mission, like it's called, he sadly killed people and went to prison his whole life. Me, I'm sitting here, I'm walking down the street, downtown, somebody's like, ew, and they're hearing it so loud. But the part of them not paying attention of it, like if it was a technology type of tool, they're not saying, dang, how are you talking that loud? Nothing. They would just freak out that it's too loud and like move away. You know what I mean? That vibing type of thing. And so with that being said, they figured out how to make a bass guitar based off of that because of that whole demonstration and Ringo Starr being from Mission. There was a lot of witchcraft, heresy, and science going on. So now you know where all that science comes from like Nazis a little bit before him. You know what I mean? It was so witchcraft, terrible, demonic. It was from uh, the demonic and cultic and heretic. It ended up going like Hitler and the Nazis found all that science in the hieroglyphics. So, with that being said, I'm basically trying to say that before I get messed up, I've been getting triggered. I've been getting messed up. As far as everyone picking on me, saying that I'm crazy, you need counseling, you need help. I got set up for some crime as far as beating up the guy, going a little bit too far, but some other guy down the street already sat in position. Now I know that it was saying They said, get ready, whatever. However, put him in a position, and he's calling like, "Oh, this guy, he's threatening me. He just said he's going to kill me." He thought I yelled at him, "I'm going to kill him or beat his ass if he don't hang up the phone," because of how tuned up these were when I yelled at him. I'm the victim, I beat up this guy a little bit. And I went back to my area, and I've been going through it to where I almost died again as far as Genesis. And Genesis doesn't end well as far as going to like 500, 400, 300, 200 years, because then you don't have much immune system. You're so low. But that's why he keeps us at a low and kept us working. The times that we're sad, we get to say, thank you, God. But we're not saying it to Satan. We're saying it to Jesus. But then that's where they tricked everybody when he made Jesus be the Christ and the Antichrist. When I was growing up in the 1900s, as far as 1989, later on near 2000, like 1999, they were saying Jesus and Jesus Christ are one, and Jesus and Antichrist, that's the devil. But the thing is, it's three ways, like three dimension. You have Jesus who was alive, and they should have never killed him. And that was the biggest thing that I felt so close to. Like it was not noticeable that it was, you know, so personal. And with the Christ, I kept thinking this is weird. Like if BC, you know, Zeus and all of them are so powered and they don't need technology, but yet Zeus is not Jesus, and it's like that's a trip. Well, that's BC and then AD. So after a while, I started saying to people, ancient aliens. I said, you know who ancient aliens are? I was like, who? I'm like, it's the past being the future, or the future being the past. And that tripped me out too because it helped me out so much, with him being lightning or thunder and him being five. That's pretty much talking about taking out the fifth element, the supreme being, and making sure that it goes crashing down with disappearing into dark energy. Dark energy has the power to dissolve everything as far as human flesh and all that, gassing and all that, the gas chambers, Nazi, all that. So what happened to the bones and this and that? Gas chambers, dark energy, it eats it up right away. The vapors. And the vapors actually ended up in a war where I got into it with jets, and they were shooting blue lasers cannon, the atom cannon. But that's another story. It's just part of this where I was uncovering so much, and I was victim to getting robbed, getting in trouble, getting arrested, tickets, and just constantly getting robbed. Like it was crazy. I couldn't handle why people knew where my things were and taking my most valuable things. Well, if he knows how to get into a amount of people because they all had that science done in the Egyptian days from Ra with his eyes, and it wasn't about his eyes, but they did the surgery. He was able to be in this egg called Planet X, doing hypnosis, hypnostical, whatever, to everybody. And so when I go to sleep and one of my friends are hanging out with me, he'll get them hypnotized and grab my things, and then my friends don't even know where it's at. I'm like, where's my things? Well, the Anunnaki left something else, which I actually told myself to say, I'm going to do this because my sisters were on it. I want to make sure I figure out what was wrong with them. That was also a sacrifice. That was a part of showing so much power into being a leader, a king, that I didn't even know that that was my destiny. So, me looking out for someone I felt so bad for, Jesus, and me wanting to try this thingy as far as speed up my mind and not go crazy, see what's going to happen, why is my family broken up? That right there kept getting stolen out of my bags and stuff. I had good friends here and there, and sadly it's been popped out like everywhere with other drugs. It's easy to get, which not sadly in a certain way. You just gotta make it clean because Anunnaki left it. I know you're like, I don't believe that shit, but it's also what made the universal soldier with super soldier, however you call it, with the Nazis. They were going out hardcore. Me, I was dealing with the streets. I was hungry. I was not able to sleep. I was able to, do a lot of things, stay warm. So I needed it for when I was freezing. I needed it when I didn't have food. And I needed it for when I was tired, and I needed to jump up, be energized. That also ended up later on, curveball, instead of just doing it like everyone else, I ended up studying. I ended up seeing Jesus' crucifixion. I wanted to solve that cold case. That cold case led me to EMC square as far as having flashback type knowledge of being not only Hitler but Einstein, and then also Tesla and Bruce Lee, and it's just a little bit here and there and there. So when you say were you really them? Well, not their whole life, because that pineal gland is so deep as far as having a vortex in it that going down deeper, everything gets smaller, but very very high tech as far as like USB, holding the files, and then up there it's like loosely, like it's not really holding too many files. So with that, we'll get into the three levels of like the sun or the heavens also, because that has to do with your pineal glands. With that, I ended up being in my room trying to listen to music, and uh, I wanted to help out with Promise Note, the sickness like COVID, or like the how much heresy is in the pharmaceuticals, and that's because a friend of mine that was uh, shish, I can't remember. I think it was Shoshone, but I don't think it was Shoshone. I think it was Choctaw, a native Choctaw. He helped me out. We were cool. I was working at Walmart, and God bless you people. I was really on my game working, but during the time I was at Temecula, I in the apartment and like working at Walmart, I studied hardcore as far as like real quick, but it wasn't a lot. It was just everything thrown at me real quick. And as I wrote a little bit, boom, I was like, boom, boom, this makes sense, this makes sense. And I felt bad about other people all the time too. I mean, the fact that I remember a little bit about Hitler, it hits me that all his Nazi officers and those people that obviously weren't with him, they set him up. They left him hanging while they went with America. After the gas chambers, they got to wear the Jewish prisoners that were gassed their clothes and come over here act like they were victimized, but those were actually the officers and all of them. If you look at Hitler, he got shot. He shot himself because it's like, I'm not going down. I was trying to take care of my country, and he didn't know nothing about the heresy. In fact, he wanted to get rid of heresy, so he was on the wrong side. While that was his country, Germany was made the name because of how he needed to de-German the like the germ. He didn't want people to have germs. Like he thought it was a disease, as far as being bewitched or exorcism, that type of stuff. So by fixing all that, he was trying to. His party was actually that evil, and that's why they left him hanging to take the rap, and he shot himself. So he's a war hero, and that's messed up. He actually had family on the part of being possessed. Like the name Emily Rose, if you look it up on YouTube, it's not really Emily Rose. It's Ophelia, and I can't remember the last name, but it all had to do with German. And when she's talking about it, nine, I tripped out on it too, the 999. And then I thought about it later, it's 666, upside down. Then later on, as I'm doing more research, I find out it's 911, because this math that we talked about a while ago is, one letter to show you what it is, then how many more as far as crossing them off. 1, 2, 3, 4, line. 1, 2, like, days of the week type of thing, Monday through Friday. So with that being said, I don't think it's that worse if we could fix it for those that need help to speed up their mind a little bit, but not so much, because we're supposed to turn into archangels. If you have all this other stuff that's in it, as far as these gases, vapors, dark nebula, matter, all these things that becomes a vapor, you got to know how to handle it. So not only did I have to get my dark matter from uh, the dark nebula, which is dark energy, but at the same time, I had to get it from it already being in this type of thing that was a smoking device of what made the super soldier. So with that being said, it's hard because everyone is so against certain things right when this kickoff started with the total eclipse, the red eclipse, the solar eclipse, and the lunar eclipse. Not in that exact order. But we had the new moon, so you have full moon and you have one shaded moon. It's all shaded. It shows solar, black moon, obviously, because it's not completely black, but it has that part. You have to look at the crescent moon as far as it's that time. Okay, let's get ready. But you know what I mean? It's almost like a witchy thing, even though it's science and it's both. It's not, and me, I'm not into witch stuff. I'm actually a wizard and a shaman, so I'm happy. And it came to me fast because I wasn't on track as far as thinking this would ever be me. When I finally touched down on it and realized Jerusalem is actually over here in San Diego, and like you have the uh, arches over there in San Francisco. You have over there in New Mexico, the 10,000 foot mountains of the Chusca Mountain Range. So all of that is very, very important. What I found out is there's Jesus who lived. He didn't deserve to get killed at 33. Then you have Christ, which I became aware and felt in my heart all the time. It's the delusional part. Like, you don't say, all right, let's kill me. I'm a great guy. He died because he was struggling. He was witched. So we had to free him, and he died for everyone's sins. I couldn't believe any of that. And I'm sorry, world, but anti Christ, it's more like if you have a virus, you're going to be the antivirus. I'd rather get the antivirus. You know what I mean? It was so right there. And the fact that it was in the BC part where it used to be in the old days, it was Jesus. And then Christ, as far as it, before Christ, it was just Jesus. And then after Christ, it was like, or during Christ, it was Christ. So with that 33 right there, I added it to AD since we're going the other way. AD is after death, or amino domino, as they say. If you look at it being 2024, which this stuff popped off recently, and at the end of 2053 or 23, you end up getting with the 33 plus, it's 2057, 2050. If it's that number or one number up, it's 2100. But we're actually in 2107 or 6 and 7. That's why it's such a big problem with the 2106 and '07. And that's why I've been getting activated and messed with, and people didn't believe that stuff. So am I Jesus? Yes. Am I the Son of God? Yes. But am I the Son of God, meaning like we're not all sons of God? Well, no, I'm just the one that had to be like the hero that, if I lost, it was my ass, and then you guys die later. But the thing is, us being mortals and being the children of God or image of God, we're actually immortals also. The only sad thing is, every time we got knocked out, punched, or, some type of shit like that, it's the same as when you pass away just because your body was old. But your spirit needs to travel out to get a new body as far as resurrection. So if we can know how to harness our bodies, we don't ever have to really go through the passing stage of death, as it's called, but we're really just asleep. So as I tell you, I was raw with my eyes, and trust me, it is a trip because of how much stuff I do with bending the reality, you know. Um, I was raw. That's the first father as far as being in the universe, He's the one that was like, he came in body and he ruled, and he was the universe. That's why he has the eyes on both sides of the sun, and that's why you have the twin, the uh, uh, purpose and the mission, or mission and purpose, however you want to do it, because it's that way in Egyptian. The sun is very important because that's right there demonstrating that with these two sides, as far as a yin yang, you got to have a perfect relationship. Am I going to say you can't be a guy and a guy? Well, you can't have the sun unless you were to, adopt or, make one woman pregnant, like that type of thing. And I'm not hating. I just know you got to really be responsible, because it's really crazy as far as people thinking you're sick or this and that, blah, blah, in this time and age. And it wasn't like that. As soon as these times of 6 and 7 came, nobody was able to talk about like Saint Lucifer or 6 with their punk rock stuff, or it just came really strict where these 2 years have been kind of scaring me, like, what the fuck? But no, it's not like that. So with that being said, the pineal glands got messed with. Jesus ended up going on the cross, and he was, because they thought he was crazy. E equals MC square is energy equals mass, which is the body, and that's the spirit. Spirit goes into the body, plus current. In many different ways, it lives. So as it lives, it breathes, it sleeps, it dies, or whatever. You also have to think about it being split into two. The two part is actually four part, but if you have four squares and two of them left and two of them right, then you're actually cutting down the middle of the bottle, the body, the vessel. You put him on the cross, he ends up having half of his spirit taken out, which ended up taking his soul. And with him just being a vessel right there that was passing away, the people that were into satanic rituals, as far as, serving the demon king Satan, was a bitch. They put that dark energy universe from the twin, as far as negative, as far as mission, into his vessel. So it was half solar, half dark nebula. red and stuff. So red energy, dark energy. That really makes for a crazy dragon because a crazy dragon, I'm solar with my black flames. Satan wanted the flames. He wanted to eat all that energy from that twin planet while he's in an egg, so he could come out really fucking spitting fire, doing this with his hands, using spiritual magic. You're gonna end up having purple magic in both red, purple, and blue as far as the mixture. Colors go very big in magic. I'm a wizard, I know. So what happened was I took that, and I'm the solar dragon. He wanted to kill me. Well, I had to keep coming back and then back because the solar dragon, solar flares, Chinese zodiac. It's also yearly, uh, for years of living, and that's very important too. You can't just have religion. You can't just have science. You have to have everybody's culture in it just to be able to put a face on it and wonder what the heck's going on. There's been so many people that have died, young kids, sex trafficking, drug overdose, sex slaves, selling, everything. It's just been terrible for a long time. And you wonder how we keep making different drugs as far as us also being able to ship them from here to there. And it's like, this one is terrible. It's eating up my body. Well, yeah, you got freaking dark matter in that crocodile. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm able to understand way more, and I love how I do it because I care about people. It just sucks that we had to go through so much. But that doesn't mean I don't have the power to heal you. Taking cancer out of everyone, just calling the shots as far as being the creator and the almighty, the original, Ra. But that's what's funny is because the father is a son. My dad's initials in this year is RAA, and I am BCA. So even though it was BC where it was Ra, and then 4,000 or whatever it was Jesus, well, AD, when you added that 33 to the 2024, it's Jesus and then BCA, which is like, I don't get it. Well, that's because father, son, son, father. So I came out second as far as his return, but I am his father. And that's what tripped me out. Michael, I love Michael as far as the archangel name, and he was a straight soldier. But I think Michael was actually a black dragon as well, or black angel as well. I still love him. I feel like that's one of my twins. I mean, Lucifer, Michael, and Wrath, which they switch it up on the stories because we had Genesis, so it kept mixing up. You die, you mess up, the planet explodes, it comes back, but it never looked like it exploded because everything was two parts. So when you take half of one away and you put it with the other half as soon as it's molded of the five, 2 times 5 is 10. So 5 years, half of one, the second part is missing. And when they barely finally discover it, as far as that goes, they'll be like, "What happened to the ruins of Egypt? What happened to everybody that lived there?" It's like I thought this was already connected to the Earth all the time. What happened to the lost city? Lost Atlantis. I'm actually going to be able to teach all you how to find all these different places. But yeah, just like the mummy of the lost city, they're on the mission side, and then they get to the lost city, the tombs and all, and that's actually coming out with the heat lights of the solar sun. So that's actually the purpose side. You get what I'm saying? And they run over there to it. So I know how to find things as far as the time of wisdom and action. As far as it being an action, it's a movement. The astrology and cosmos are your own clock as well as your body being a biological clock. You're supposed to be enhanced with them being parallel and relatively exact match. So I am this universe's body as well as every other universe's body. Because after you make the first universe, everything that's splitted up after all these mistakes and everything, and the solar sun in vessel of avatar and living dies or has to change bodies. He does his little thing as far as the spirit, like leaving the tomb and going to another one when he's born. That's why they also had later on the other side of what's a mission, it would be the father saying, I'm going to take my son's body, who's a grown man already, and I'm going to be like way younger and lead. So you have these two sides. And it's messed up because it was Satan who always went to the negative side instead of the positive side. Because he was always trying to hang out with dark moon instead of the light moon. Jesus was always on the light side moon. He was crying to him like, "Please help me, Lord." But he was Lord because he's son of Lord. But when I looked at the pictures SUN and SO and universe is supposed to be Father God, it's like Jesus was the Son of God. I was like, and Son of Man. I was like, I don't get it, but I was thinking, Son of Man, yes, because we're all Son of Man, but Son of God. Then it was like God is the universe, Father is the universe, and I started thinking He's the Son. And with that being said, I always told people like later it's SON, that is the SUN. That's very important as far as father, son, like big, medium, small. It's always going to do that. Grandfather, father, son. So when we get into it, I'm dealing with all kinds of heresy, people picking on me. I'm trying to do my research. I got so much on it, I thought I was already going to be rich. I did the Da Vinci Code. I figured out recently the rest of Masons, and it was just so many things of parallel universe when it came to movies and books and music and videos, and everything just hit me like, why is it like the universe is trying to wake you up? Like it's literally trying to tell you everything, like please help. So when I was doing the investigation, I found out about Ringo Starr, which is a star with the T, and that's what they used to use it for. And then later on, they used it for a cross because it was for death. Purpose, a star. Mission, a cross, crucifixion. So when you do that, you look at how mission was trying to get the star from purpose. And how you do that? Well, you have to put a halo around it as far as ring a star. Ringing a star is like, ringing a goat, you're trying to catch it and stuff and trap it. So when you finally do that, you have the Zodiac Killer. The Zodiac Killer has to deal with having the anthem type of, like, bass is low, so you have to hire that shit, and everyone's all thinking I'm yelling and screaming, like fucking 4, 5, 6 city blocks. People were calling on me, and I never knew. I was like, what the heck's going on? I'm chilling, and I couldn't hear it, but everyone else is like freaking out. I got picked on so much, and it was terrible. And with that being said, he learned how to do the bass guitar after he was with the Beatles, and he's old. He doesn't look like he got older. He's just no. He's old. He's young, but he's old, and he doesn't look like he got old for being that old. So I was like, vampire? Like, what's going on? Well, he ended up making the bass, which helped to make sure that people were doing harmonies and frequencies as far as their chakra and relaxation and sleep therapy, stuff like that, hypno sleep. With him being able to fix that and make people play guitars like that, it's constantly putting you on a sleep where you never noticed that you ever were not capable of being conscious, consciously aware. By losing your consciously awareness, you're able to just doubt, neglect, act like you feel no pain, or just, be in a shrugging mood, like, you don't get enough sleep, but yet you're always sleepy, and they just added up to the negative and took away from the positive. And that's why I said that's Ringo Starr. He was a scientist. They had the Nazis, and they were doing all these tests as far as Black Sun, and I was tripping on Black Sun, and it meant a lot to me. And I was like, Black Sun, Black red sun, the eclipses. When they hit, I was like, what the heck? That showed me that he had something to do with witchcraft, and other people had a lot to do with witchcraft. You have the reptilians, you have the dragons, the black angels, you have witches, you have all kinds of different things that used to live on these earths. As far as them not being here no more, Nephilim over there, giants over here. So there's a big difference. Purpose, you had giants, and mission, you had Nephilim, out of control, beastie, sometimes cyborg, all of that, really terrible. So when we get later onto it, and it's my years, we're thinking it's going to be the 21st century that we find the king, and the return of the king. We're thinking it's Jesus. I end up finding out that the sun is a phoenix. Also, when it's not a phoenix, it is the egg as far as being a sun. But when it's a phoenix in crazy air, it's still ghastly, like it's big. So it's not looking like a bird exactly. It's just all the red energy of a solar sun spread out and flying away. When it flies away and it gets balled up, compressed, it becomes a sun. That's where they always talk about, like, God sent so and so away, and he dropped right here into the middle of nowhere, and he became the uh, Lucifer or whatever. Like he became, or saying he became solar sun, and he was in the middle of nowhere where there was nothing. So he was unhappy being all by himself in the dark. What happened is the shit just turned into a ball, and there's a sun. And I don't mean shit. I mean like beautiful sun god, and becomes sun god. Then with the flares are actually its power to throw an electric current, but in space it's actually fire looking because it's a gas, carbon based universe. So remember, electricity is also a gas. You know what I mean? More spread it out, you'll see lightning and lightning rods as far as coming together, looking like skewers that are all crackly in the sky with the clouds, and it coming from the pulse of the Earth. So the sun does the same thing, and when it does that, the flares, solar flares, shoot out only because he's like it's trying to shoot to something that's attacking the planets, comets, asteroids, whatever, and the frequency waves from planet X, and nobody understood that. So when you're looking at the sun, and Jesus being a 5 point star, he's also a fifth element. He's also an element bender. Jesus being a sun god, I remember him holding a picture like holding the sun, and also one with the candle. I remember seeing a picture where it looked like Jesus, and he had the money, and he's like this and that, but I was supposed to be Judah. So they were a lot alike, looking a lot alike. Mission, purpose, twins. Um, what I was gonna say also was I was supposed to be the twin as far as my sister, but she switched with me somehow. Me and her, and we're not even close like that. Instead of two, it was three. It was my sister, and instead of me, it was my brother, and then me. So instead of 2 dimension, it was 3 dimension, where the middle was the part of just getting them to split, and then in split we turned around. Pretty crazy. And with that being said, I ended up realizing so much about this prophecy that I needed to finish and continue it. I got so far into it, and so many people have really almost murdered me many times because I've already been murdered so many times. The other times, that was based on me to make sure I find who I am. In this prophecy, I ended up finding out Jesus' birthday was March 3rd, just like how Ra was, just like how the other person, Lucifer, who's a great angel, but he got set up. Michael got set up as far as later on. Going backwards, Jesus, he had to go down on earth trying to figure out where Michael was. So you have Ra, Jesus, then Michael. But hold up. When you move the two sticks, you have a V. So you have to remember that on a very big part. But also, could have been on the other side, confusing part. And we'll get rid of him because there's still 1 to 2 parts as far as them not being complete. You have Ra and Jesus, and then me coming after Jesus, wanting just to help him. I find out that Jesus is the Son, meaning SON and SUN. So I thought he was the big guy, the Father, but then I was like, that's a big sun, and that one right there is the universe as far as not being a big sun. So it's a big universe that holds a big sun. That's a big difference. So I realized Jesus is the Son. And I'm like, I guess the Son doesn't have a father as far as a father figure. I had arguments with my dad here and there, and like I always try to help him. I end up going to the part where it's like, me being Jesus, I came back in life, and I wanted to do this and that, and I wanted to feel how it is to have a father. You know what I mean? And it's really a really good ride because it's been hard, but I want to prove to him I'm not crazy because it's been getting muffed up again. Would you having your pineal glands open up and get so crazy to where you learn so much, even when people aren't around, no books, no paper, no computer, you're able to draw on walls, this and that, and it ends up being like that whole Gothica or Disturbed, I don't know what that one is called, but I kept my notes in my head. I kept finding out 3 dimension equals 3 down below, 3 demons, three dimensions, uh, three particulars, and all of that stuff. As far as three being very important with our universe. I find out with the phoenix being a bird and all that, and it's like needing to lay an egg. I was like, wait, I don't get it. Well, a sun ends up being the phoenix as well as the red nebula, but it's trying to hatch an egg. It makes a planet, whatever. And if it's a third dimension or a second dimension or fourth dimension, you would be the second planet or the fourth. Either way, or you'd be the first or the third because 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 1 is 1, 2, 3. Like, you get what I'm saying? So you have to do the swipe just like how it is when you have children. 1, 2, like the square, boy, girl, boy, girl. You get what I'm saying? But that type of thing is a little bit different. Um, with me finding out I was supposed to be a female in a sense, where in half the months I switched, and my sister, who was older, being the third one, being the second to first, and is going downward. That's up and down also, which I didn't think about, but still, VA is just like up and down, and then to a mirror, down up. So with that, it was just like left, right, right to left. It's still going to have a lot of craziness, and that's where you see the sign that uh, the Nazis had, Hitler. And I was thinking, like, why does he have it like that? It looks like it's turned for a little bit of a reason. Well, now I know because of that reason I just said. That sign was a cross that came from talking about a planet and a planet's mother, or, like the sun is the father. The planet Earth is a mother because with the cross, it's a plus, but also it has four little squares, just like the family tree type of thing, or the squares, the cubes. Woman, boy, boy, girl, that type of stuff. Ends up doing the Z and the 9 and the ass backwards. So that's part of the Roman numerals and letters and alphabet as far as quantum physics go. I can't remember exactly what I was saying. Let me refresh. Um, so for the quantum physics, I was tripping out on Jesus, Zeus, Jesus, Jesus, Nazareth, Zion, Ion, and I kept thinking about, 1 is 3 and 2 is 4, that type of thing. So when we have these 3 over 3, you end up hearing the star um, of Judah, the star of Victoria, the star of David, possibly. I mean, I know there's day in the life of David, but you see how he's on one side, like bad life, it's mission, but I didn't know about mission. I didn't know about the split back then. I thought we were just one uh, planet, and I thought it was 12 planets that we had. We had 14 originally. So 14 and 13, and then when they took off that Balphamus, there was like 6 or 7. It was in between, and then that's when they had only 12. Then later we have 11. And before you know it, I'm older, and I see we only have 9. And I'm like, wait, what happened to the other 3 planets? Well, they got taken away 3 as far as 3 dimension and some crazy stuff. One of the planets of those 3 ended up being a frozen planet, Pluto, which used to be Hermes. So it's kind of messed up how that whole order goes. Me, I'm the 3rd planet from the sun. Mars and Earth is actually 4 elements, which makes the 5th element being a human person that guards and protects the Earth. So that's 1. Then when you have 2, as far as also being the sun, it's the father. Then you're like, well, where's the sun? It's the sun. You look at the core in the Mother Earth. That's the mother that's holding the baby. So when you see that the mother's holding the baby, astral projectively, the Earth is not going to break and shatter like it needs, like it used to, or as far as it demonstrates it does, because that 5,000 year, it does the purge switch, which is not really cool. It needs to get back on track. But when it does the astral physics and they separate the egg from the middle and the Earth is there, that's when it actually goes, the sun goes into the father's chair or vessel, and he shines super bright. The sun gets brighter by adding more children, as far as them, being able to be like more luminous, you know what I mean? More wattage. And at the same time it does that, the Earths are able to get bigger too because of how the frequency is in the love. So that's what I'm trying to say right there as the first couple things I learned. I ended up worrying about what 786 and the serpent and finding all these little pictures, which that didn't even really matter. The thing is, they were trying to set up the serpent because there were naturally snakes that were harmless. Gopher snake, field snake, corn snake. That's three. Then you got the other ones that are super deadly and all that. You got three times four, that's 12, and then by that, that's six. So the star of six being into two, they always try to say that six is the devil number because it was like coiled like that to be the serpent. I actually ended up finding out barely recently, which was amazing because everything came to be in tune, subliminal only, but quickly caught at the end. And I barely got finished with all this after so much that people want to put me away mental. My dad's getting sad and stuff. It's very sad. Six is actually seven because when you put 666 on Monster, remember there's going to be a purpose and there's going to be a mission. When you put it on a Monster drink and it was in Hebrew letters, it ends up looking like sevens, but it ends up spelling monster. A seven, seven, a seven. And that's why they have a little star on the bottom. You know, a monster is going to be a star. It wants to be uh, also, it also wants to be an avatar as far as being a star and a little avatar. Because, you know, when Planet X had brought fire to the Earth, he was actually concealing himself in a astrophysics body that hardened by, you know, controlling more of the energy into solidating from it being dark matter gas, the cloud, you know. We ate clouds that were white, they were called mana. They didn't eat clouds that were dark, they made themselves into big figures that were actually feeling real and tough. But he didn't get to this year, 2024. I killed Satan by using my telepathy and telekinesis and using a magnetic, uh, electric fire thunderstorm, you know. But everyone's like, I don't get you this and that. Well, I've been able to start looking this way and moving something that way. Looking this way, still worried about everything this way, like a bunch of stuff. And you're like, dang, you looked at a lot of stuff. Well, I had to lift the cloak that opens up to wherever I feel the energy of him using his frequency. You know, you shut down, you're quiet, silent, but at the same time, this is a trick of martial arts. If you walk by a tree and there's no wind, the tree will not just stay like that. The tree will actually, like, if you're coming by it too much, it will kind of like, ooh, like it moves, like the bending part of Avatar, like Matrix Neo when he gets shot and he stands up and he breathes and like the outside doesn't move. Well, as soon as you go like that fast, the tree will have that little movement to make sure that it's not even touching. Like the air between you is what made it move, the bend part. My hand moving like this is where your part of moving, you're like, and you didn't even notice, you know, because you were barely moving. With that being said, and I keep saying with that being said, I'm sorry. Uh, what was it? Um, I hate when I do this. Let me pause.